Okay, guys, today we're working on another car. It just so happens to be it is a 2003 Pontiac Grand Am. Now, the issue with this vehicle is the heater, defroster, whatever you're using, gets hot, then switches to cold, then gets hot again. If you fiddle with the heat control knob, it'll get hot. Then it gets cold again. And it turns out this is a really common problem on the Pontiac Grand Ams and Grand Prix. If you will do an internet search, typing in the problem that you're having, you will find all kinds of people who have asked these questions, and many of them have checked their thermostat level. The advice you might get is there's air pockets inside your engine, and so people are replacing thermostats, replacing head gaskets, just all kinds of intensive labor. Well, if you'll go on eBay, you'll also see that these controls are being sold all over for $100 new, all the way down to, I think I found one used for $26. Well, you'll also notice when you do your search that there are tons and tons of replacement knobs. And the reason is this rheostat right here is what controls your heat, your temperature from cold to hot. Well, it's also right in front of your gear shifter. So when you go to put your shifter into park and you slip, you smack the knob. When you reach down and you're not paying attention to get your gear shift, you graze the knob and the knobs break. Well, you know what else that does? This rheostat only has a tab on each side that goes through the circuit board and is soldered as a mount. The repeated smacking and banging into the knob loosens the solder joints on each side and breaks that mount. So then, every time you grab it, every time you touch it, every time you bang it, the force is all taken up here with the three actual contacting segments that are soldered in. And that solder joint there breaks loose. So, you guys can go replace your head gaskets. You can do all this other stuff if you want to, and sometimes it probably needs it. But the first thing I would look at is this right here. And what I did, like I said, I can get a used one, $26, no tax, no shipping. But here's the deal. It's supposed to snow tomorrow. And I pulled this one apart, resoldered everything, took a few minutes. Now I can stick this back together. I can go put it back in the car. We can get this car back on the road with good heat tonight. Not in 10 days, not rigging it all up where it might work and it might not. And so if you guys want to do this, what you do, back here on the back, you will see right here, 1, 2, 3, and way over in the corner, there's another one. They look like rivets. Those aren't really rivets. Those are actually posts that are soldered to the board, and embedded in this plastic are metal strips that go to the switches. And that's how it's an easy way to fasten the board in, but it also makes contact with these switches. If you will take this and you will support it on a vise or on something else, and be careful because there are light bulbs, there are LEDs, there are all kinds of stuff on this board. And you will support that. Then you take a round punch, something that will cover over the top of that pin, and you tap this one, that one, that one, that one. This one, that one, that one, that one. Carefully. Don't beat the hell out of this one. Tap them all, and as they work down, eventually you will get to the point where it will just fall out. Now, If you do that, you want to check these and make sure you didn't break the solder joint. They are, I've ground on this one, but they are riveted in on the other side of the circuit board. You want to make sure you didn't crack that solder joint, because then you'll have intermittent problems on some of your other stuff. But as long as you either heat those back up and resolder them, or you're careful and you don't break them loose, that circuit board will come out no problem. You can flip it over, take a small soldering iron. This one you see back here, that's a copper. It's called a soldering copper. Those are huge, and they come in a lot bigger sizes than that. This is the one right here. This is the one that I actually use to do the soldering. Sometimes you can just heat them up and they flow right back together, but not always. So get some good rosin core solder, or get you a little bit of flux, and make sure you don't pool the solder in there. If the solder does seem to run over, kind of pick that off. Be careful, because these printed circuit boards are literally that. They're printed. They're real fragile. You don't want to scratch across a section. If you do happen to have, cut into one, sometimes you can very carefully scrape it back with some sandpaper, exposing the copper, and you can touch some solder across it, but you have to do it just quickly, because if you get them hot, they peel. And if you ever run across a circuit board like that, where they've broken, the board is actually broken, or they have been scraped or scratched or peeled, what you do, and sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't, what you do is you go in, say, from this resistor over to this diode, that section is broken on the back side of the board. Well, what you do is you take you a little piece of phone wire, solid copper wire. You solder it on the back side of the board to this point and to that leg on that resistor or transistor, and you just bridge that broken part. It's an old school way of doing it. We've been doing it for years. And if you have to, throw you some epoxy over the break in the board to stabilize the board. But anyway, guys, like I said, it's 26 bucks. That we try to save money anytime we can, but that wasn't a major deal. More importantly, if it snows tomorrow like they're talking, my daughter will actually have a front-wheel drive car to drive, which will be safer than her rear-wheel drive Mustang that skates all over the ice. So guys, hope this helps you out. Spend the big bucks on your engine if you want to, but if it was me, I would start here. See you later.